Hello, I'm Melissa Dorn. I'm primarily a sculptor, do a lot of installation work, some painting, a whole lot of drawing, usually as preparing for an installation or a sculpture. And I live and work in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I'm interested in texture and abstraction and how, whether it's a painting, a sculpture, or a drawing, those two things can pull people in and also leave room for people to bring their own experiences. I work a lot with industrial mop heads. They provide a lot of texture. They're very soft, and there's something that I think everybody has had some sort of experience with, whether it's actually using an industrial mop or being in a school and watching somebody else use it to clean up something. And I think a lot about labor and how labor and the industrial mop work, well, it's a lot about work, about how when I use the industrial mop, there's a lot of labor that goes into it because I'm taking it away from its original intention as a cleaning device, and I'm cutting it up and I'm attaching it, whether it's with a particular medium or using things like T-pins or other types of pins. So it's in some ways very meditative, but also very meditative in the repetition, but also it's a lot of work. I use latch hook in my work as well, which is something that I had the opportunity to do as a kid, like middle school age. And I would sit in front of the TV. I'm from the Midwest. We like to be like always moving our hands and being super productive. So I could sit in front of the TV and be doing something that had an outcome. So in all of that, wrapped in all of that, is feminism, and how a lot of times I'm thinking about who does the work. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, watching feminism kind of transform during that time in a way that still left a lot of the work in the hands of women. So, and in some cases that's changed a little bit now, but not in all. And I'm constantly thinking about that, like, where's the labor, the work landing, and on who? So right now I'm sitting in my exhibition, Fem-Utility Closet, and I'm actually sitting on one of the ottowomen. I have renamed ottomen to ottowomen. Again, thinking about that idea of who does the labor, who does the work, and I decided I wanted to transform these ottomans that I have found either through somebody gifting them to me, they no longer want them, or at a resale store. And I have kind of mopified them, I guess, in a way that again, a lot of labor goes into these, and thinking about how texture and different materials play together to give the viewer an experience. And it's my hope that folks actually come in and sit down so that they can spend a little bit more time in the exhibition, maybe relax a little bit and look around and think about, and I'm looking around as I'm talking on purpose, to think about like the humor that's in these objects, the history that's in these objects, the textures, what can we find in everyday things that is both absurd, humorous, and maybe get to a point where somebody's thinking a little bit, like wondering. Because I think that's something that we don't have a lot of time to do, is just like wonder how particular pieces are made. Wonder if that is really industrial mop that's used in that latch hook. We so easily can go find answers real quick on our phones. And a point that I've made for myself is to try to wonder more about things instead of going for the instant answer. So my hope is that when folks come into the exhibition, maybe the last thing they do is read the statement and they walk around and look closely and wonder, is that a pencil line? What is this made out of? How did she get that mop to stay? And just really look closely at all the details, and then how that plays into the concepts that I'm working with, the conceptual aspect of it, with feminism and labor. And I think I'm hoping I can get people to spend a little bit more time thinking and wondering. So I talked a little bit about the idea of wonder and being in the exhibition and wondering about materials. And I think also what I'd like viewers to think about is why the title of the exhibition. It's Fem-Utility Closet, which is not a real word, or it's a mashup of two words, or three words. Fem-Utility Closet, like, why am I thinking about this, and how do the materials themselves play into that, which maybe is the most obvious answer, but then the way that the materials have taken shape. I think I know I want people to be thinking more about labor within their own lives, and who does the labor, how much labor are they doing, when do they take the opportunity to just sit. My grandfather in his garage had all these like sayings up around the garage. He was a retired elementary school principal, and upon retirement, spent a lot of time in his garage. One of the posters he had up was, "Sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit." And after his passing, I was asked if I wanted anything from the garage, and I said, yes, I want that, which is still hanging at my house. It's a little beat up, but I think that opportunity to just sit, and whether you call it wonder or ponder or just be, is something I'm hoping people take away with them after viewing the exhibition. So I'm really interested in investigating more of this idea of the Fem-Utility Closet and continuing with these exhibitions, and a lot of that comes into playing with work both that I'm continuing to make, but also work that has been made, and figuring out different ways to arrange it and different ways to become a little bit more humorous about it, because I think that's a way into the concepts, or can be a way in for folks. It's a fun way in. And I'm thinking a lot about how I might deconstruct the mop even more, because it's a really interesting fiber to work with. So I'm thinking about how if I even, I've been cutting it, but what happens when I start to separate the individual strands and make up a strand, and what kind of textures and appearances can I get with that? And I think there are some other materials, like found materials, that I'm thinking too about, again, like that idea of deconstructing them more. So you still might get to what they originally were, but maybe you don't. And again, that plays into that idea of like wondering how something was made.